So I'm just going to give three examples of something that happens in our lives, and we'll see what connects them. So the first thing is there's that moment in the evening, just before bed, where you think you should be kind of winding down towards bed, and you just think, oh, I just need something. I just need some pleasure. I just need some pleasure. I need a burst of pleasure before I go to bed. And so you get the internet on, and then you're off. So that's the first one. Then there's this other one where you're waiting for a bus, waiting for a train or a bus, and you stand there for a moment, and then you just find your phone in your hand. The kind of phone flip. It's there. Suddenly the phone's in your hand, and you're scrolling through Facebook or emails, looking for something. You're looking for kind of something to happen. And in meditation is no different. In meditation, there's these moments, isn't there, where we're trying to turn towards our bodily sensation, turn towards our Vedana, our feeling tone, and we're just not interested. We're just not interested, and we think, well, we've resolved to go back to the planning or the fantasizing or whatever it was really kind of live, feels more live for us. So what's the common thread there? The common thread there is boredom. Boredom is the common thread. It's like on a mental level, we're uninterested, and on a physical level, there's something going on as well, isn't there? There's kind of like a listlessness, restlessness, or it can even be like a lethargy, like a kind of tiredness, So we all know what that is. That's just boredom. We know what that feels like, yeah. So what's interesting about this state is what Buddhism says is there's nothing actually wrong with our experience. There's nothing wrong with our experience. There's nothing missing. There's nothing lacking in our experience in these situations. What's going on is it's the quality of our mind. Our mind is superficial. Our mind is at a kind of superficial level. It's our attention which is at a superficial level. And that determines this experience of boredom, yeah? We're running along on stimulus, and then we hit that little pocket where there's no stimulus, and our mind is superficial. It's kind of caught in that kind of superficial layer, and then we experience boredom and start to try to manufacture new stimulus. So you could ask, well, what is the problem with that? Why is that a problem? Well, in a certain way, we're already kind of chronically overstimulated. Yeah, that's our kind of default state. Really, it's never been a time, I don't think, like historically, where there's been stimulus so readily available. I mean, when I was growing up, I would say to my dad, "I'm bored." And he would say good, and I could never understand what he meant, because I couldn't see that boredom was in any way good. So things have sped up since then, yeah. So with the internet, mobile phones, etc. So stimulus has never been so easy to access, and we are told, in a certain way, we're told. That there's no need to be bored, that you shouldn't really be bored. In a way, I'm going to look into that. Boredom is almost a flaw. It's kind of there's something kind of feels like it's wrong. We're kind of told that we don't need to be bored. So the repercussions of that is that we're kind of wired in a certain way for novelty, for new stimulus. We're wired in that way. And that all comes in all sorts of forms. I mean, it's a myriad, thousands of forms. A new box set, a new kind of phone, new relationship, a new app, this kind of sense of novelty. And that's kind of, in a way, an external kind of outside us. We're looking for stimulation, but we also go inside as well. And that's like planning and kind of fantasizing, you know, this kind of rummaging around for future pleasure, or setting up kind of future pleasure, future stimulus. Yeah? So I'm quite interested about this idea that boredom kind of feels like failure in a way, in Buddhism we use this metaphor of depth, don't we? Depth in our kind of minds, you know. So I'm going to be using that metaphor. It's just a metaphor. No one really knows what our minds are. But I use that metaphor of depth. Yeah. So there's this superficial kind of level, and then there's a way of kind of deepening into our minds. Yeah. So what meditation does, it gives us confidence. It gives us confidence that we can find a kind of deeper source of satisfaction in our kind of minds, if you see what I mean, in the way we relate to things through this kind of depth. So even everyday situations, everyday experiences can be kind of lit up in this way. Everything from these moments when we're winding down at the end of the day, what else did I say? Waiting for a bus, waiting for a train, you know, in meditation, they can start to be seen as kind of a kind of interesting times, interesting in themselves. Yeah. So we're looking for this deeper satisfaction, and which kind of illuminates our experience. Yeah. But I'm not going to say that boredom is bad, and in a moment I'm going to talk a bit more about that. I'm not going to say boredom is bad. I think boredom is a gateway. It's a kind of it's a gateway to depth. Yeah, it's a kind of signal or a gateway to depth. So I'm going to explore that tonight. How we can work creatively with boredom. Yeah, so very well welcome to everyone at the class. I'm here with my friends in Nether Space, and welcome to you at home. If you don't know me, my name's Mike Chinara. I'm a teacher at Brixton Buddhist community, and we've been running a lot of these live streams over the last months. We've just got back into this rather slightly strange situation here. I know you guys are probably feeling it as a little strange. I'm starting to get used to it as well, where we're running these hybrid classes. So the invitation is really just to come and meditate with Brixton Buddhist community. Yeah, and afterwards there's a Zoom discussion where you can kind of get into talking about what's been going on in your meditation. Yeah. So if you want to keep in touch with what's going on, press the subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep letting you know what's happening. It'd also be really good to hear from you out there, to know who's out there. So do write in the chat box who you are, where you're from, and I'll be able to give a little shout out to you a bit later on. So it'd be good to know who's out there. Okay, so before I get into this exploration of boredom, we're going to just do a short body scan, just so that we will, in a way, just arrive, just get present. Whatever's been happening in the day, we can just start to let that go, start to put that down, and get more present to what's going to be going on this evening. So just setting yourself up for meditation. If you're at home, just setting yourselves up on your chair or sofa, wherever you are. If you're on the floor, the cushions, just setting yourselves up, and we'll do a short body scan. So if you're happy to, just closing your eyes, and as soon as you've got your eyes closed, just tune straight in to your physical experience. So that means what you can feel directly in the body. So just start to get a sense whether you feel your body just generally as kind of comfortable or uncomfortable at the moment, and whether the energy feels like it's quite live, or maybe there's a little bit of lethargy. So just get a sense of your body, and that's a culmination of the whole day. So the whole day up until this point has brought us to this moment, And this is just how we're feeling in the body now. So then start to tune into where your body is in contact with the ground. And tune into that quality of the sensations there. You can't really describe them. You may be able to tune into a sense that there's sensation there and that it's kind of vibrating. There's a kind of live feeling. So now starting to just explore the area of our faces. Often we're holding quite a bit of strain around the face. Just start to notice if there's anything that you're holding on around the face. Around the forehead, around the eyes. So just see if you can start to soften around the eyes. Allow them to settle back, to soften into a softer gaze. See if you can start to soften through your forehead. The area around the jaw. You just start to get a sense the face is just resting. And then just allowing the energy or the attention to just drop down into the area of the tummy. You may notice some movement in the tummy. You may notice some sensation that feels a bit like holding on or tensioning. You can just start to invite that to soften just as best it can. And then going into the legs, the upper legs. Again, just see if you're kind of holding them in any particular way. Is there a way to just start to allow them to relax down into the ground, down towards the ground? So the legs are grounded, tummy's softened. Just noticing the shoulders, and if you can start to let go a little bit in the shoulders as well. And then just notice your body's breathing. So there's movement happening with the breath. Just for a few moments, we're just going to stay with that movement of the breath. Just letting it calm you down. And then just coming back to this sense of being present here, either here in the class or home, in your room, wherever you are, just feeling present and being with other people, meditating together. Great, so there's quite a few people joining us, this is great. Hi Pam, hi Jill, Vegetara, hi Chris, good to have you with us. Hi Joe, that's Mary Jose. Hi Richard in Preston, good that you come. And hi Annabelle, Annabelle was on retreat with us last week, so good to be with us, Annabelle. Yeah, so if anyone else is there, just let me know. Yeah, so we were talking about boredom. I'm going to say a little bit more, and then we'll do a longer guided meditation together after that, all right? And then after that, there'll be a chance to ask a few questions or make some comments, and we can see if we can get a little bit of discussion going about the meditation. Yeah. So yeah, it might seem a bit odd, it might seem a bit strange. I was talking about boredom as a gateway to a deeper engagement with our experience. So yeah, how do we kind of do that? Well, as I've said, boredom is kind of us experiencing ourselves at superficial level. At that level, we require stimulation to feel kind of engaged, interested. Yeah. So you could say an interested mind is a kind of happy mind. So at that level, we need quite a lot of stimulation to kind of keep us interested, keep us engaged. Yeah. So we look for that, yeah, externally, as I've said, you know, the phone, all the internet, eating, drinking. I've said, you know, nothing that there's anything wrong with any of those things, but it's you know, those moments when we reach towards those things. We kind of know we're doing it. We know we're just kind of filling up a lack. Yeah. But as I said, there's also a clue in our minds when we're planning. Kind of obsessively planning or fantasizing. They're trying to kind of set up future pleasures. So yeah, why is it gateway? So yeah, there's this kind of moment that we can choose to either kind of renew our kind of investment in that stimulation, or we can start to think about, well, how can we actually deepen our minds? How can we actually deepen our minds? we can go down those well-worn routes, or we can just choose to kind of deepen our mind. So the first thing is to recognise boredom. That's really kind of important. I'll say a bit more about this, but kind of just noticing and naming it, saying that's what's kind of happening. And then noticing, what's quite interesting is noticing whether we think that there's something wrong. See if we think there's something wrong. See if there's something wrong with us, or something wrong with our situation. Yeah, so that's that kind of societal thing I was telling you about, that we can easily think that there's something wrong with us or situation when we're bored. Yeah. So the first thing is not to experience it as a problem. Yeah, not to experience it as a problem. So there's our start. We're kind of naming it, we're catching it, we're seeing it for what it is. It's this state of mind, and it's this opportunity. So yeah, why is it important? Why do we need to take that opportunity? Why don't we just go down those well-worn grooves? Well, in a way, what Buddhism is saying is that everything is filtered through the mind. So anytime you deepen your mind, anytime you kind of train your mind in any kind of small, subtle way to turn towards itself as its own resource, if you see what I mean, that will have an effect. That will have a lasting effect on how you filter your experience. Yeah. So our mind, everything filters through our mind. There's nothing which doesn't filter through our mind. So an investment in our ability to illuminate everyday situations through our just normal everyday mind is an investment in kind of deepening ourselves and deepening our actual lives. Yeah. So yeah, I've often thought, it's often said that a concentrated mind is a happy mind. I remember when my daughter was very small, she'd be drawn with her big chunky crayons. Yeah, she'd be drawing these big chunky crayons. That's a picture of you, Dad, or whatever. She'd be with the big chunky crayons, and people would come in and say, Lola, hi, Lola, how are you doing? And she'd look up and she just wouldn't know what to say to him, because she had been absorbed and now she wasn't absorbed anymore. And she would just say, I'm drawing. That's how I am, if you see what I mean. My state of mind is now drawing. I'm absorbed in drawing. Thank you very much. So it's an abstraction, isn't it? Like, to her, it was an abstraction. How are you? It's like, I don't know, I'm drawing, fine. So, and when she was in that, you could see that she was really, really happy. Those kind of concentrated states. We all kind of remember those states, where we're really kind of engaging things as kids. Really, really happy, yeah. So that's possible. It's quite interesting. Just going everything on that a little bit more. Used to buy her things, with flashing lights and stuff, and she'd be more interested in the roll of sellotape. The way the sellotape rolls along the floor, roll of sellotape, and forget the flashing thing would be lost, forgotten in the corner. The thing was about what she was absorbed in, and that was what was interesting. Yeah? So we can kind of inhabit those states, yeah, those happy states, yeah. That's a concentrated mind, it's a happy mind. So yeah, so recognising boredom as an opportunity, deciding to deepen. So how do we do that? Well, firstly, we need to kind of wean ourselves off this kind of gross stimulus, the flashing light stimulus in a way, and gather our attention around more subtle aspects. So in meditation, we look at the breath, don't we? Look at the breath, look at the feeling tone in the body, the sensations of the body, and then they're much subtler. So we may just experience the kind of tug of our mind to like, no, I don't want to do that. I want stimulation. Yeah, this subtle stimulation is kind of in a way too kind of light or something. It's too kind of light for us. So we have to be prepared then to bear with it. We have to be prepared often to go through a little transition, which is it can be quite uncomfortable. Going from boredom through to deepening can mean we need to pass through a kind of zone, uncomfortable kind of resistant kind of zone in our minds. Yeah? If we hold our nerve, if we hold our resolve to do that, it's possible to pass through that kind of resistance. So can kind of think of it as kind of surface tension, a kind of surface tension of our minds. Yes, a certain kind of tension that we can then drop down into the depths from. Yeah? And then a certain quality can enter in. I think we probably all got experience of that. A time where we have moved out of boredom into a deeper kind of a relation to what's happening in our actual experience. Yeah? So meditation, that's the body. Yeah, really, that's the body. That's a deeper feeling for what's happening in the sensations, in the Vedana, in the feeling tone, the vibrational sense of the body, pleasant or unpleasant. If it's outside, it could be anything. It could be you at a bus stop and just looking at the sky. It could be just looking at the sky. Everyday kind of thing, the sky, and you could just look at the sky and you could start to see that it's not just cloud, and there is movement, there's depth, there's texture in the sky. You can start to actually become interested, but it takes a kind of certain type of effort to do that, and not to look at your just to look at your phone. So yeah, and if we do that, if we allow ourselves to do that in meditation, if we hold our nerve, we can get through to a state beyond that surface tension, which is described as kind of samadhi, kind of energized calm, very, very pleasant kind of state, yeah, very kind of satisfying state. So yeah, so first thing to do is recognise boredom, name the boredom, say this is what's happening. We know we're bored because on the mind level we're reaching after thoughts, going after thoughts, or it might be our mind's a bit cloudy, a bit kind of tense, a bit kind of cloudy and tense, and our body can be two ways. Could be either be quite restless, listless, or it could be kind of lethargic. You know, so in a way, what we're doing is we're getting familiar with the characteristics of boredom, yeah, the kind of features of boredom. Yeah, to know a state, you need to kind of investigate it, get interested in it, so that you can recognise it. Like a friend in a crowd. You know a friend in a crowd because you know their features, right? You know what they look like, you know their shape, and you know the sound of their voice, so you can recognise them. And it's the same with the states of our mind. We need to, just get to know them. And meditation, in a way, is getting to know ourselves. Yeah. So yeah, we need to recognise it. And then we need to make a decision to stay with our experience, even if it might be this uncomfortable, to stay with that. Our mind might tell us that this is intolerable. Do you ever get that? You know, you just I can't bear this. I need to do something. You know, you just find yourself sitting there, suddenly find yourself next minute propelled across the room towards the fridge, where, you know, the Shangri-La of the fridge, or our equivalent. Yeah, so we need to recognise the state we're in and be prepared to stay with it, and the strong urge to get away from it. Meditation's getting to know ourselves more deeply, and it's in this getting to know ourselves, that is where the transformation is. It's not like we get to know ourselves and then some kind of transformation happens. It's in the getting to know itself. That's the quicksilver. That's the elixir of change. That's the kind of quicksilver of change here. Is the getting to know. And what kind of happens as we do recognise, so we're talking about boredom here tonight, but as we start to recognise these states as they arise in us, is that we start to feel like we are inhabiting a wider bandwidth of our experience. Yeah, our experience, we're living in a wider bandwidth, both experiencing ourselves in our heights and in our depths, yeah, and not just shuffling through like on shuffle on the iPod, going through these rather superficial engagements with these states that we're in, yeah? So we're deciding to engage more deeply. So how do we do that? How do we engage more deeply? We simply need to pay more attention to our experience. That's it, yeah? If we're in meditation, we're trying to tune into the feel of the meditation, the kind of the sensations, the kind of graininess of the sensations, the feeling, the sensate quality of the sensations, the tactile quality of those sensations. And as you start to notice more deeply, what will happen is a certain satisfaction may creep into your experience. We'll try this for ourselves. We'll see if it's true. Don't have to take my word for it. I think we're all kind of have had this though, and we can use that deeper satisfaction to encourage us to keep going with the exploration in the meditation. So it's good to acknowledge that the satisfaction is changing. Something's changing at the level of how we're engaging. Yeah. So yeah, we're being like an explorer. We're intrepid. We're resolute. We're curious. We're interested. We're trying to see what's going on. We're trying to map territory out. We don't know what's going on. Consciousness is strange. We need to get to know it. Yeah, need to get to know ourselves. Yeah, and we use this confidence to to kind of create trust that we can keep going in this exploration. Yeah? Okay, so let's have a go at it. Let's have a go. So I'm going to guide this into a meditation. Just try and stay with it as best you can. And I'm going to include at the beginning 2 ways to kind of create energy in our practice, energy for our practice. Okay, so if you're happy to, just closing your eyes. There's sounds around you, sound present, we can just let that be there. Feeling the space all around us, space in the room that we're in. And then here we are in that space, in the space that we're in right now. We can tune into the sensations of the body. So try to get a sense of the body as a whole. We can't find the outlines, can we, of the body, but we can get a sense holistically of the whole body. And then within that there's this kind of strange vibrations or shifting sensation. In a way that makes up the experience of our body. Now with our eyes closed, without a mental image of the body, what we can directly experience is these shifting sensations. Just bringing your attention to the way the body is pressing into the floor. You can feel that there's more intense and more dense sensation present there around the feet. If you're on the cushions, you may have your knees in contact with the floor. And then the backside. So just feeling our weight dropping into these areas. Just letting go in the upper legs, in the lower legs. So that's all just sinking down into that contact with the ground. And then noticing the tummy. Just starting to let go around the tummy as much as it will. Just letting go to the extent that it will let go. And in the shoulders, the area of the shoulders, again just starting to soften and to start to let go as best you can. Around the eyes and forehead, again just softening. And in contact in the breath, in the chest, movement of the breath. So now if we feel a little bit drowsy, a little bit sleepy, this is a good way to kind of wake the body up for meditation. So with the out breath, we're just going to drop the out breath right down into the ground, into the contact with the ground and beyond. As we breathe out, drop our awareness right down to the ground. As we breathe in, we bring that awareness right up past the crown of the head and beyond, up into the air beyond, into the space beyond. So breathing down into the ground, as we breathe out, as we breathe in, kind of energizing the body with the in-breath, and just imaginatively bring that right up through the crown of the head and up into the space way beyond. So if the body's still feeling a little sleepy, you can just keep going with that. If the body is actually feeling restless and a bit jittery, just bring the breath right down below the navel, base of the tummy, and just stay with the sensations of breathing at that level. So just using whichever method is more helpful. So now we're just experiencing the body as energy. So just feeling the sensations as changes or movement in that energy. your mind wants to go off and get involved in other things, just noticing that. Seeing if you can come back into a resolve to stay with these sensations, kind of grainy sensations of the body. So you can just experience the breath wherever you feel it most vividly in the body. So that's all we're doing, is just staying with the sensations of the body. Might be thought, is fine, that's alright, it doesn't matter. Just let that be there, like the sounds around you. So we're going to just explore the strangeness of this breathing body. And one way to explore it is to imaginatively think of this cloud of sensation. Thinking of the body as this cloud of sensation. And if it's useful, keeping the breath, allowing the breath to be an anchor, or to be a part of the experience of your body. So we just experience this body as a cloud of sensation. Just start to notice, well, where's the edge of that? And you may notice tensions within that. Just bring curiosity to that. I'm noticing the texture. we're just staying with the breathing body. And if as you stay with it, you notice any change in your satisfaction or engagement, just allow that to give you confidence in this process. What are you experiencing right now? Right here. If your mind starts to go off, just see if you can come back, engage, bring more curiosity or interest into what's happening right now. So with the body as a cloud, just start to notice there's areas that are denser and areas that are lighter. Notice if you think there's something lacking. Something missing. You can find elsewhere. Being interested in any tension that might bring into your experience. So now for the next few moments, we're just going to let go any effort at all. We're just going to sit here without making any effort to do anything in particular. And then coming back to this grounded quality of the body, contact with the ground, this aspect that actually connects us all up. The ground. So noticing this grounded quality and just having this sense that here we are meditating with other people. Okay, good. So just as you're emerging out of the meditation, in a moment I'm going to ask you some questions, if there's any questions or comments or anything you want to say about what happened there in that kind of meditation, or any thoughts about that talk. Before we do that, I'm just going to say, a big thank you, really. Big thank you to Brixton Buddhist community, or whether old or new, for really supporting the community and doing that. With both your attention, kind of tuning in, getting this sense of kind of communal activity, being on retreat together, but also helping financially. So there's been people are really been really generous, and to kind of keep these activities going. So we've reached up to we've been trying to raise £2,000 a month, and this month I think the Dharnometer's going to be here. The people in the class are looking at me bemused, but there is a Dharnometer here. It's a virtual Dharnometer, and what it says on it is that we've raised £2,998 this month, which is a really amazing, real feat of generosity. A lot of people that are on the retreat go very generously to Brixton Buddhist community. But this time I want to particularly thank Sarah. It might be Sarah is here, I don't know, I'll find out later. Sarah, Oliver S, Laura B and Rosie, so for their one-off donations in the last week. So thanks very much. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into any questions or comments. Yeah, go on in, mate. You're allowed to unmask. So this is the benefit of asking a question, is you get to take this mask off for a moment.
Firstly, thank you, that was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, really interesting talk. I definitely experience a lot of restlessness when I'm meditating. And your talk made me think that that's definitely true of my experience of life just generally, like off the cushion. And I don't think I would have thought of it as boredom before, but that really does make sense of what the sort of driving force is. I was wondering if you had any, if you could talk a bit about whether there's anything that you can do, like off the cushion, to help
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good question. Thanks. Yeah, really good question because we call this thing meditation. We call it meditation. Well, what is it? I mean, we're just sitting down on some cushions or on a chair on a sofa, right? We call it meditation. I think the danger is that we think then suddenly we're doing something kind of really special outside of our actual lives. But actually, our lives have been going on very merrily all day, and now we've just sat down on some cushions and decided to turn towards our actual experience. Yeah? So it's no surprise that what you encounter is your mind, as it has been pretty much all day. One could say, over a long period, over a lot of your lifetime, you might have been experiencing certain habitual states. Yeah? So it's no surprise that you're going to encounter those and maybe encounter them more strongly when you get into meditation, right? What we're calling meditation, as kind of turning towards our experience. So you're going to just kind of notice that, right? So what we do off the cushion, yes, it's going to be, one could say kind of vital in a way to what we experience when we get on the cushion. So it's really important not to, to recognise that, as you said, to recognise that, what we do off the cushion is going to have a strong bearing on our ability to turn towards. If we're giving in habitually to boredom all day long, we're going to do that in meditation as well. Yeah? So it's a really good question. There's lots that could be said. One of the things is to notice the gap, notice that gap. So as I've said, just notice that time. This is the bit for me, is just before, I know I should be winding down for bed, and I get that thought, and then my mind just kind of rebels, and I'm like, no, I need more pleasure, like I've worked really hard today, or whatever it is. And then I kind of, I've got various kind of well-worn strategies. Either the guys have found me down by the fridge, staring into the abyss of the fridge, looking for what. Actually, our fridge slides; it doesn't do that. But that's by the by. So I could be looking in the fridge, or I could turn on the into. So there are moments that you can catch, is what I'm saying. You can catch those moments and decide, okay, well, what do I just want to do that again, or do I want to kind of deepen? So it might be too much then to just kind of sit down and stare out the window. It might be too much. Sometimes there's ways to find less gross, kind of grosser pleasures, less stimulating kind of pleasures that you could then turn to. So kind of lighter pleasures, one could say. So it might be, instead of flipping your laptop open, you flip a book open. Yeah, a book has a different quality, doesn't it? Reading a book and reading the latest news feed about Trump or something, it has a different quality of one's mind that brings to bear. So you could decide to do that. You could even set those conditions up with having a good book on the go. Ask some friends what's good. Maybe don't pick something really, really highbrow either. It could just be something that you just really want to read. Not something really goodly. It could be just something you really want to read. So that might be an example. It's just kind of finding those alternatives, noticing those moments, and finding some a lighter alternative. At the bus stop, rather than, that your hand habitually goes to the phone, and you could just notice that movement and okay, I'm going to see who's around here. People are fascinating. You could just look at the people around you, or take in what's going on, the environment that you're in. You could just choose to do that. You could just choose to look at that. Sometimes you could even think that you're in the film of your life, here you are in the film of your life, and you could take in what's going on, what's the scenery now at the moment. You could get interested in that. So, yeah, in a way, there's endless ways that one can start to notice, moments one can start to notice, and then start to, kind of subvert what you'd normally do for kind of quite a kind of glaring kind of stimulus, for something a little bit more engaged, you know, a little bit more. And then you will find, yeah, when you get to meditation, you'll find that you can more readily turn into a sensation because you've already started to train yourself kind of to do that. Yeah. Is that kind of yeah. Okay. Any questions from you guys? Let me just see here. No, but you can ask a question. We've probably got time for one or two more. Don't know if you guys have got anything else.
I was going to ask if you could say a little bit more about resolve and effort. Those words came up, I think, in your talk.
Oh yeah.
And for me, just thinking, you know, it's quite helpful coming back when you're being guided. It's a little bit easier to come back to your body and your breath. But I know that when I'm at home, those thoughts I was having, I could have drifted for a lot longer, and that makes me think about effort and maybe needing to put in more effort. And I think some of the things you mentioned, like identifying and labelling, that helps. But is there another way of bringing a bit more effort?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because effort, there's a lot can be said about effort. Because there's these two poles, isn't there, of effort. One is a kind of quite active kind of effort, and the other is receptivity, which is also effort. It's all effort in meditation. It's a nonsense to think that you just sit and kind of be. You know, we are constantly having to kind of dig ourselves out of the kind of morass of our habitual mind, and that requires effort. Yeah, so it's effort to keep turning towards our experience. But sometimes that can be quite attenuated, quite soft. We might feel like we're already getting curious. You know, we might go off, but we don't need to kind of drag ourselves back. We're like, oh, there's a thought. That in itself has its own kind of Vedana and its own interest. Thought itself, like, what is that? It's just such a strange thing to happen to us or with us. You know, thought itself. You know, sometimes there's different tones and so on. So you know, you kind of that in itself is interesting, but you know, you might find that you're not locked into lots of planning and lots of fantasy really strongly, and you can just kind of gently bring yourself back into your meditation. So sometimes less effort is required. Other times you might need to, well, like I was saying, bring to mind the kind of purpose. What are you doing? Sitting here. There's lots of other things you could be doing, right? There's lots of other productive things that one could be doing. But here we are sitting here. I'm not saying that in a kind of guilt-trippy kind of way. I'm such a bad person, I can't even meditate. Not in that kind of self-berating way, but just more in the way of like just touching into, well, why did you want to sit down in the first place? We want to cultivate more awareness because it enriches our lives. So here we are, we have this little opportunity to kind of to do that, or we want to encourage our heart to open with more metta and more love. Well, that, you know, that, who doesn't want that? You know, so here's an opportunity to turn towards that. So, you know, you could turn into your purpose a little bit, which is a little stronger, you know, to really kind of in a way kind of redirect yourself back into. So you'd have to kind of so that's all the more active effort. And then there's this receptivity. There's this other end of the scale where you just you're like in the retreat recently, Annabelle, you know this as well. The meditation teacher Maitreya Bandhu, he was talking about just kind of in the well of your heart, just kind of reaching out, kind of what's going on, you know, what these tensions, these strange emotions, these forces that are, what's kind of going on, and you just kind of, you know, just kind of curious, kind of feeling your way through the dark sometimes, you know. So you can there's this receptive element of what's actually just happening now, and sometimes there's this more directive element of effort that you might need to kind of redirect your attention in, do you see? So there's these two poles, and you kind of have to, in a way, know, where am I at in this meditation? Am I a bit all over the place? Do I need to be a little bit more directive with myself, or am I kind of pretty tuned in which case I can just be more gently directive, but more receptive, more kind of feeling out what's happening. The curiosity is already kind of live, maybe, you know, maybe there's a little confidence that's already developed through some opening up or some easing up or something that's already just happened. You know, you can use this confidence to kind of encourage yourself, you know. Yeah, so a little bit, I don't know if that's, hope that's answered you. Okay, thanks for the question. Okay, so actually, we're going to wrap it up there. Yeah, so I'm just going to say finally, if you would like to, or really encourage you as well, to come on the Zoom call that we have after these Monday meditation classes. So it's just Brixton Buddhist community, old and new, people that have been around a long time and others that are just new, just coming along for the first time, just trying things out. It's this Zoom call, so a chance to kind of open discussion about, well, meditation, how's it going, things that are occurring to you, things that are getting into the way, things that are working well. So a way to kind of encourage each other, explore and so on, and kind of deepen our interest. So the Zoom call is really, really good. And if you haven't been on it yet, just go along. It's fine. Just go along and try it out. So the link to that is there in the chat box, so you can tune into that. It's about 10 minutes time that will get going, so you've got time for have a cup of tea, relax before that starts. Okay, so I just wanted to thank Adam for being on the tech. Thanks very much. Thank you guys for all coming along and creating this atmosphere of the class, and very much for you guys at home for coming along and expanding this out way beyond Everspace. Well, yeah, being part of this community, coming in and exploring meditation. So yeah, wish you all of us very good, very warm night. Thanks very much.